Look at the people who changed the world. The great thinkers, the great builders, the great humanitarians, the legendary leaders of industry. So many of them shared one quiet habit. They got up before everyone else. Some of today's most respected entrepreneurs and creators still do it. Early mornings, quiet hours, a head start before the noise of the world wakes up. I'm an early riser myself, somewhere around 4:30. But here's the truth. The exact hour doesn't matter. Pick a time. Any time. It could be 5, it could be 7, it could be 8. What matters isn't the number on the clock. It's the promise you make to show up for it, every single day. Go to bed around the same time. Wake up around the same time. That consistency becomes the foundation for everything else you build. Because here's the thing about keeping promises to yourself. It's one of the most powerful tools you'll ever have. Music swells gently. Cut to a quiet street, dim streetlights, an empty road. Before the sun rises, the world is quiet. There's less pulling at your attention. It's in that stillness that you can build a real relationship with who you want to become and with what you want your day to stand for. For some, that quiet time looks like a morning run. An hour, maybe 90 minutes, where it's just you. No phone, no notifications, no noise, just clarity. That kind of solitude isn't just good for the body, it's fuel for the mind. Some days we need that more than anything else. Beat. Music shifts to something more driving. So here's the challenge. Be congruent. Be the person you say you want to be, not just in your goals, but in your actions, starting the moment your alarm goes off. Because if your actions don't match your intentions, that gap becomes a voice in your head. And it's rarely a kind one. So tomorrow, and every day after, try living in line with the person you're working to become. Don't hit snooze. Maybe you're tired of hitting snooze. Maybe you've done it for years. Then today, just don't. Flip the switch. Picture it. It's a Monday morning. Most of the world is still asleep, dreading the week ahead. And you're already up. You're already moving. You're already ahead. You don't need an alarm clock when you have purpose. Purpose wakes you up. Purpose pushes you. Purpose keeps you going when motivation runs thin. If you're ready to take ownership of your life, to be the one steering it, then it's time to let go of relying on outside pressure. This isn't about someone pushing you. It's about choosing to push yourself. You get to decide. You don't have to let circumstances write your story. You don't have to let other people's expectations define who you become. No external alarm needed. Just purpose and the decision to act on it. Cut to scenes of effort. Someone training, someone studying, someone working late at a desk, someone practicing an instrument or craft. This is about showing up, not as a complainer, not as someone waiting for things to happen, but as someone who takes responsibility for what they want to build. One of the greatest gifts we have is the ability to choose. To choose every single day, to get up and give it everything. To treat each day like it matters because it does. Practice like it's your only shot. Study like it's your only shot. Show up like it's your only shot. There's a kind of person who, even after decades in their field, still shows up every day wondering, do I still have it? Not from doubt, but from respect for the craft. From wanting to give people something real every time. That's the difference between coasting and caring. Between going through the motions and lighting a room up because you chose to bring everything you have. So, how does someone become a morning person? Here's the honest answer. The first few days are hard, genuinely hard. But after that it gets easier, much easier. And here's something else worth remembering. Talent matters, but it's not the whole story. Talent paired with consistent effort is what gives you a real shot at greatness. Neither one alone gets you there. When you build yourself up through real, repeated effort, when your confidence comes from work you've actually put in, everything else starts to fall into place. The doubts get quieter. The fear gets smaller. Cut to a runner on a track alone at dawn. What's the secret to success? It's not a secret at all. It's hard work. Plainly, repeatedly, unglamorously, hard work. For some people, the anchor is simple. Wake up before everyone else and ground your mindset in one idea. No one will outwork me. Not I'm the most talented. Not I got lucky. Just, no one will outwork me. The truth about success is this. There's no shortcut. The only road that actually leads anywhere is the road of consistent effort. If you're struggling now, you'll stand taller later. If you're putting in the hard hours now, you'll smile about it later. If you're sacrificing now, you'll see the payoff later. Some of the most meaningful breakthroughs come from people who realized, I might not be the most naturally gifted person in the room, but I can outwork the gap. If someone else studies for 1 hour and you study for 10, you start to close distances that talent alone never could. That's not about being smarter. That's about understanding that effort compounds. Effort is the great equalizer. Think about it this way. How does a champion become a champion without putting in the work? How does anyone earn the promotion they've been hoping for without putting in the work? How does anyone become the kind of parent, partner, or friend they want to be without consistent effort? It always comes back to consistency. And here's something worth sitting with. Sometimes you don't win because you're more talented than everyone else. Sometimes you win because you simply outlast them. You wear them down, not through aggression but through persistence. This could be the year your team or you simply outworks everyone else in the room. How do you get to the next level? You don't wait for permission. You don't wait for the right moment. You execute. And when people see that you consistently follow through, when they see that you get things done, something shifts. People start to respect that. People start to expect it. Execution changes the way the world sees you. It changes the way you see yourself. Cut to a calendar, days flipping by, sunrise after sunrise. Don't wait for Sunday. Don't wait for someday. There are 7 days in the week, and someday isn't one of them. If you've been given a talent, a gift, a skill, something that sets you apart, that gift was given to you for a reason. Now it's on you to put in the work that turns potential into something real. Here's a simple concept, and it's worth repeating. If you want something, you have to go get it. Some people are motivated by getting out of a tough situation. Others are motivated by the life they're picturing for themselves. Either way, wanting it isn't enough. You have to act on it. So ask yourself honestly, how badly do you want this? Because if it's something you think about as often as breathing, if it's that present in your mind, that's a different level of want. That's the kind of want that moves mountains. But for most people, the want isn't quite that strong yet. And that's okay, but it's worth being honest about. Because people often ask, how did you get where you are? Without realizing the answer is usually relentless, unglamorous effort, sustained far longer than most people are willing to sustain it. There comes a moment, and almost everyone experiences it eventually, where being average just stops being okay. Where you look around and see people who started in the same place you did, with less than what you had, and they've moved further. And something in you says, not anymore. For some, that moment comes early. Maybe on a field, in a classroom, in a moment of frustration. For others, it comes later. After a setback, after a hard year, after realizing something has to change. Whenever it comes, that moment of enough is enough, it's often the turning point. It's the moment something that's always been inside you finally gets the chance to come out. It was always there. It just needed the right moment to be unwrapped. If you want something badly enough, don't let anyone convince you that you can't have it. Not even yourself. There will be days where your own mind tells you, you can't do this. And on those days, the only answer worth giving is, watch me. Doubt is normal. Everyone faces it, even people who seem unstoppable from the outside. The difference is what they do with that doubt. They keep going. They get back up, again and again for as long as it takes. That persistence, that refusal to stay down, is often the real difference between people who achieve big things and people who don't. Not raw talent, not luck. Just the decision to keep getting up, wanting something as much as you want to breathe. That's the kind of want that gets results. And if you're willing to give that much of yourself to something, you tend to get a meaningful piece of what you're chasing. Dreams really can become reality. Not easily, but genuinely. For some, it starts with a single, full commitment. I'm going to do this, no matter what it takes. Not a backup plan, not a we'll see. A real commitment. Because sometimes, having a plan B quietly tells your brain that plan A isn't fully necessary, and that small doubt can cost you everything. At some point, many people reach a moment where they simply decide, enough is enough. I'm done being average. I'm done settling. Maybe that means wanting better for your family. Wanting to travel somewhere you've always dreamed of. Wanting to build something you can be proud of. Whatever it looks like for you, that decision matters. The moment you decide enough is often the moment everything starts to shift. Narrator, VO. The hour is now. For anyone who feels like they've been waiting in the wings, this is the moment to step forward. No one cares where you started. No one is checking your past. What matters now is one simple question. Are you willing to put in the work? And how badly do you want it? Remember the 3 W's. Want it, work it, win it. How badly do you want it? Cut to someone training alone, then pausing, breathing, looking forward. A lot of people get comfortable. They celebrate the same small wins over and over without pushing into new territory. But the moment things get uncomfortable, the moment they're asked to grow, they freeze or they retreat. The people who keep moving forward are the ones who choose to lean into that discomfort, who say, "There's more out there for me," and go after it. Because as long as you're alive, there's room to grow. There's always an opportunity to become more than you currently are. Sometimes, figuring out what you want starts with getting quiet, tuning out the noise, asking yourself honestly, where do I want to go? One way to find that answer, think 5 or 10 years ahead, and ask yourself who you feel a pang of envy toward, not in a bitter way, but notice it. Because envy is often just desire that hasn't been given permission yet. You can't feel that pull towards something unless some part of you genuinely wants it. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and that thing is a quiet belief that you're not allowed to have it. If you want something enough to fight for it, to work for it through the early mornings and the late nights, to give up some comfort, some sleep, some ease for the sake of it. If you can hold on to that want even when things get hard, even when the road gets long, if neither rough days nor doubt nor fatigue can shake that want loose from you, then, with persistence and with the right mindset, you give yourself a real chance at getting there, breathing rhythmically. When you're out of breath, there's only one thing on your mind: get air. Nothing else matters in that moment. That's the kind of focus that fuels real success. Not constant, exhausting intensity, but clarity. Knowing what actually matters and giving it your full attention. Here's an honest truth. Most people say they want success. But if you're being honest with yourself, do you want it as much as you want comfort? As much as you want to relax? As much as you want to sleep in? There's nothing wrong with rest. Rest matters too. But if there's something you're chasing, it might require letting go of a little extra comfort here and there, in service of something bigger. The hour is now. Whatever room you've been locked out of, whatever opportunity has felt out of reach, this is the moment to step toward it. You can't let other people's opinions define your path. Some people will tell you it's not possible. Some will tell you you're not the type to do this. And sometimes, the only response that matters is simply, "I'm going to try anyway," because in the end this comes down to a binary. You either take the step or you don't. You either try or you don't. And if you've put in real effort, real, honest effort, then no one gets to tell you that you didn't try. Music settles into something calm, but purposeful. It's now or never time. Ask yourself, what would need to happen this week for you to look back on it with pride? Maybe it starts small. Maybe it starts with one promise you keep to yourself, like waking up when you said you would, instead of hitting snooze. That's one win. And one win can be the beginning of a streak. This moment, right now, is the only moment we can actually do something with. The past is done. The future hasn't arrived. All we ever really have is now, so don't let this moment slip by. The days might feel long sometimes, but the months go by fast. Don't wait for a better moment. This is the moment. Cut to a phone buzzing on a nightstand, then someone picking it up, looking at it thoughtfully. We all get wake-up calls in life. Sometimes it's in our relationships, realizing we've drifted from people we love. Sometimes it's in our finances, realizing the habits we've built aren't sustainable. Sometimes it's in our health, our goals, our sense of direction. These wake-up calls are uncomfortable, but they're also an invitation. When the call comes, you have a choice. Answer it or let it ring. If you answer it, that's the moment things can start to change. Music brightens, hopeful, forward-looking. Maybe it's time to raise your standards a little. Not in a way that's about showing off, but in a way that reflects how you want to live. Maybe it's about how you take care of your body. Maybe it's about how you spend your time. Maybe it's about finally addressing something you've been putting off. You've already done the hard part. You've gotten this far. Now it's about building on that foundation. Cut to someone getting into a car and starting to drive, sunrise ahead. If you've spent a lot of time thinking about where you want to go, at some point, it's time to just start moving. You can adjust direction along the way. But movement creates momentum, and momentum creates opportunities that standing still never will. You have to stay aware, stay adaptable. The world moves fast, and sometimes you don't have the luxury of waiting 6 months to think about it. Sometimes the right move is to give it a few days, and then act. Here's something worth remembering. It's rarely the most talented person who wins. Often, it's simply the person who started first. Music tone shifts gentle, encouraging be today the person you hope to be later. Because if you're not starting now, later tends to look a lot like now, just with more time gone by. A lot of people say, later in life, I'll do this. Later in life, I'll change that. But later in life is built from days. If today doesn't include some step in that direction, later won't either. Cut to someone writing in a journal, then closing it and standing up. Many people feel a quiet sense of purpose, a feeling that they're here to contribute something, to make some kind of impact, even if they can't always define exactly what that looks like. And often, alongside that feeling, there's a worry. Am I doing enough? Am I living up to that purpose? That tension between wanting to do more and wondering if you're doing enough can actually be useful. It can be the thing that keeps you moving forward. As long as it doesn't tip into self-criticism, music becomes thoughtful, balanced. Here's a balance worth striking. If you spend all your time learning and never acting, you won't move forward. If you spend all your time acting without ever learning, you'll repeat the same mistakes. And if you spend your time chasing opportunities without ever following through, you'll always be on the outside looking in. Growth happens at the intersection of learning, acting, and following through. Consistently over time. Cut to a wide, peaceful shot. People in everyday life, working, talking, living, every one of us carries untapped potential, capabilities we haven't fully explored yet. That potential tends to show up most when we're focused, when we're contributing something positive, and when we're connected to people we care about, building something together. But so often, we get caught up in stories about the past or worries about the future. And we forget that the present moment is really all we have. Right now, this moment right here is where everything begins. And from here, the possibilities are wide open. For some, the path has been about chasing opportunity relentlessly, and then, once given that opportunity, not hesitating to make the most of it. One of the hardest things in life is realizing that a dream you've been chasing isn't quite right anymore, and having the courage to adjust, rather than stubbornly sticking with something that no longer fits. For anyone who's ever felt like they weren't enough, like they didn't matter, like they'd never amount to anything, here's something worth holding on to. It's never too late to rewrite that story. To let go of old pain, old resentment, old narratives, and build something new. Cut to someone stepping outside into full daylight. If you're on the edge of making a change, and it feels uncomfortable, that discomfort might actually be a good sign. It can mean you're doing something for the first time that's truly in your own best interest. Now is your time. This is your moment. This is your day. Now is your time to grow, to contribute, to make a difference in your work, your relationships, your community. Now is your time to be seen. Not for attention's sake, but because what you bring to the world matters. Music settles into something grounded and wise. Here's something that holds true across almost every field. If you put consistent time and energy into getting better at something, you will get better. That's not a guarantee of greatness, but it's a guarantee of progress. We often look at people who excel and say, they were just born with it. And sometimes, natural ability does play a role, but what's often invisible is the sheer amount of time those people put into their craft. Time spent refining, practicing, studying, even when no one was watching. Even people with extraordinary natural talent still put in extraordinary work. Talent might shorten the distance, but it doesn't remove the need for the journey. Cut to someone reflecting quietly, looking out a window at the morning light. So here's a more useful way to think about it. Look for the things you genuinely enjoy and that you get a meaningful return from when you invest time in them. Maybe someone else picks up a skill faster than you do. That's okay. The point isn't how quickly you improve relative to someone else. The point is that you do improve as long as you keep showing up. It might take longer for you than for someone else. You might have to put in more hours. But if you care enough about it, if it means enough to you, you can absolutely become the person you're working toward becoming. Music reaches its peak, full, warm, resolute. But all of that starts with this moment, right now. Now is the time when thinking gives way to doing, when deciding gives way to acting. So here's the only question that really matters. Are you ready to take the next step? Are you ready to start a new chapter? Are you ready to build something that matters? To you, and maybe to others too. Are you ready? Long pause. Music softens to a single sustained note. There's no tomorrow that's better than today for starting. There's no tomorrow that's better than today for showing up. There's no tomorrow that's better than today for becoming who you're meant to be. The time is now. Screen fades to a simple sunrise. Music resolves gently, fade to black.